get a lawyer.
We have a dead baby in room 206.
Yeah.
Okay, you were the last person with Trinity.
What happens when you invite a sadistic monster you barely know into your child's life? This is a question I hope you never have to answer yourself, but it's one that we will be looking at in today's case. This horrific case takes us to an awful living arrangement that resulted in the heartbreaking death of an innocent 2-year-old. Her injuries are one of the most gut-wrenching that we've covered in any case so far, leaving us wondering what kind of human could do this to a child. Let's take a closer look at how and why this happened. Gwinnett County, Georgia, located in the north-central portion of the U.S. state. This county has almost 1 million residents and is the most ethnically diverse place in Georgia, with highly rated public schools, restaurants, and parks. This is a beautiful place to settle down and start a family. Trinity Maria Kiles was born on April 9, 2019 to Rosie Kiles in Savannah, Georgia. From the outset, Trinity was instantly loved by everyone who knew her. Her bright brown eyes and her sweet smile could light up the darkest of days. Her mother lovingly nicknamed her Trin Trin, and she was proud of her adventurous spirit as Trinity showed early signs of leadership and independence, according to her mother. The couch was her playground. She thought it was the funniest thing to jump off the couch and run around barefoot. She was the happiest when dancing to her favorite song, Usher's ABC song by Sesame Street. The 2-year-old loved watching that show and PJ Masks. She also loved playing on her labeled tablet and thought it was hilarious to hang up on video calls from her grandparents and other loved ones. It's something her family claims she got a kick out of. Trinity was just a baby, but she was already showing signs of a big personality and a wicked sense of humor. As much as Rosie wished to spend more time with her daughter, she was a single working mother doing her best to provide Trinity with a good life in 2021. She met Malik Kyrie Kennedy online. He was a 24-year-old man from Duluth, and feeling some connection with him, they started dating and living together. It's important to note, though, that Kennedy is someone Rosie hadn't known for very long. She didn't know him well enough to understand his temperament or how he behaved when she wasn't around him. At that point, Kennedy would put on a front to make sure she would overlook his anger issues, but even this mask would occasionally slip out. Rosie would work hard to provide for her little family. She'd frequently leave her boyfriend with Trinity at the Quality Inn hotel where the three had been living. They had to live there because they had recently been evicted from their apartment. Finances were tight, but Rosie tried to hold it all together. She knew that her boyfriend was feeling frustrated with taking care of the little girl. After all, Trinity was at an age that required a lot of patience and maturity to deal with. A 2-year-old loves testing boundaries, which is considered a normal part of their development, as any parent would know. Throwing tantrums, shitting, biting, screaming, and many other unpleasant behaviors are normal for a toddler who is just starting to understand the world. Taking this into account, Rosie was working extra hard to put Trinity in daycare where her needs will be better met, and Kennedy, who she knew was unaccustomed to children, would no longer have to babysit her almost 5 days of the week. Unfortunately, this was a goal Rosie was never able to fulfill. On May 2, 2021, just 1 month after Trinity turned 2, Rosie arrived to something horrible in her hotel room. At first, everything seemed normal. Little Trinity was lying on her back in the bed looking like she was taking an afternoon nap. Rosie freshened up after a long day of work and noticed Kennedy's exasperated expression, so she discussed plans to enroll Trinity in a daycare as soon as possible. Halfway through the conversation, she checked in on Trinity, only to realize to her horror Trinity wasn't sleeping. She was unconscious. Rosie tried to get her baby to respond, but the normally energetic Trinity felt lifeless, shocked, and panicked. Rosie quickly dialed without wasting a second while she was on the phone with the dispatcher. An officer quickly arrived at the hotel inn where the toddler was still unconscious. He opened the door to see Rosie and Kennedy arguing. The mother was clearly distraught as she pleaded with her boyfriend for answers, but Kennedy insisted that all he did was give Trinity a melatonin to put her to sleep. Rosie had recently started to give her child a small drop of melatonin to make her nap after she had been up all day, but now she was anxious that Kennedy probably gave her too much, and Trinity might have had a reaction. But as we'll soon see, the actual truth is much worse than this.
Yes, my baby. Oh my God, baby. Tell him what happened.
Okay, so basically, I ended up giving her melatonin to go to sleep.
No, babe. What did you do?
I gave her melatonin so she could go to sleep.
beginning to get suspicious of Kennedy's melatonin story because she noticed a big bruise on the side of Trinity's face, but he kept giving her evasive answers about the injury. The officer desperately gave the child CPR, but the argument between the couple started escalating shortly. After the paramedics arrived and they worked for several minutes while Rosie and her boyfriend were questioned outside by the officers. Kennedy insisted that the bruising on the child's face was from him pinching her cheeks, but Rosie was skeptical and knew that he must have hit her baby on the face. She had always been firmly against corporal punishment of any kind against her child who was too young to understand inappropriate behavior. Nevertheless, the officer kept her separate from Kennedy for 90 minutes. Rosie anxiously waited in the police car outside her hotel as she saw more and more police cruisers arrive at the scene. Understandably, she was agitated and frightened up until now. She had hoped that her daughter would be okay soon and they'll reunite, but the more cops she saw, the more her heart sank. Reality was starting to set in. Her gut told her that this medical emergency had turned into a crime scene. Despite every attempt made by the paramedics, they failed to revive Trinity. The toddler was pronounced dead at the scene.
That's your child?
Yes, that's
Your
my
child,
child. That's my child.
What about him? Is he the dad? He's not the dad? Did you leave the baby with him and you went out, or what?
I was at work.
Okay.
And I just got back to work.
Okay.
Kennedy was taken to a police station for questioning, and as the security cam footage shows, he was nervous throughout the investigation after being questioned about how frequently he had to babysit Trinity. It was obvious that Kennedy had taken on way more responsibility for the child's well-being than he should have, fidgeting with his hands. He explained that Trinity wouldn't be disciplined by her mother, and she wouldn't let him discipline her either, but that didn't stop him. He would occasionally punish her for misbehaving by spanking, taking away her treats, or making her stand in the corner when Rosie was away. On that fateful day, the boyfriend said that the toddler was flipping out, screaming, knocking things over, spilling her juice, doing what a typical 2-year-old does. Every day it was all behavior that Kennedy acknowledges he knows is normal. But that didn't stop his irritation with her. He confessed to giving the child half a dropper worth of melatonin, despite the bottle recommending a very tiny dose for ages 3 and up. Doing that to a 2-year-old is extremely dangerous. Excess melatonin can cause seizure, vomiting, dizziness, and increased agitation in toddlers. In short, instead of putting her to sleep, he was too ignorant to realize he had created a medical emergency, and Trinity was obviously too young to articulate why she was in pain. Halfway through the investigation, the 24-year-old admitted to popping the little girl, but he was super vague about what that meant exactly. Alarmed by this, the officers push him to understand why the baby's face had a bruise, to which Kennedy confessed that he pinched her hard on the left side of her face, leaving bruises and fingernail marks. This was a new detail, and the officers maintained their pressure to get more info out of the suspect.
It's just normal kid stuff, really. But typical too, I guess, as they say, she was saying.
And does she do that with Rosie's when Rosie's in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And does Rosie allow that to happen? Yeah. Does Rosie discipline her? Like spank her on the butt or anything like that?
Not really.
No? Okay.
Not really.
Does she allow you to do that?
No.
No. Have you done that in the past?
To her?
Yeah. Like if she's misbehaving?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what do you do?
Normally, like before, like at first, I just like, it might be like I might pop her, and then like if anything else, then she's standing in a corner, like, you know, she's just standing in a corner, that's it. Or I might not give her something like juice and the sugars and stuff that she be wanting. So I take that away. She don't get it.
And how do you pop her? Describe that to me.
Like that. It's like a pop, but just same thing about popper.
So what went on in the room today with her? What was her misbehaving? What was kind of just?
I told Rose, I said, you know, it started from her just screaming and spilling her juice and just spilling it everywhere, like doing it on purpose and doing things like I said, kick the lamp over, or she might just spilling juice and screaming. That's the most she really does. Just not listening. So.
The detective asked Kennedy what was happening while Trinity was allegedly misbehaving. According to Kennedy, he was trying to play a video game.
when she's acting up and spilling the juice and kicking the lamp, what do we do?
Normally,
And how do we punish her?
normally I just like I'll tell her to stop,
Mm-hmm.
or uh, basically like I'll grab her, grip her up, and that's it. And that's about it.
Okay. Well, it seemed like she didn't stop today, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how did we correct that? Like,
There was no correction really. It was simple as just the normal, just I said pop her or if I'll grip her up.
You do what? Sorry, I
Grip her up. Really.
when did you give her that?
Why did I give it to her?
When? What time?
Uh, I don't know the time. Maybe 3, 2.
I'm sorry?
Maybe 3, 2
Okay.
o'clock.
So where did you put it in?
I just gave it to her. Regular how we always do.
I don't know.
So just give it to her in her mouth. That's it.
Okay. So like is it
Like a drop. It's a drop. Just
so how many drop? Like how much did you give her today?
pretty good amount. Like it was about halfway, almost to the top, almost. Not
Okay.
really at the top level.
Again. Today.
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, because I'll be honest, I normally never know how long it takes to kick in.
So what time did you put her in the bed?
Well, she been in and out of the bed really, so
Mhm.
it was more so she been in and out of the bed. She was never like in the bed permanently. She just was in and out of the bed. But I think after my mom left, she took a nap, woke back up, 3, 4. So it's I don't know 2, 3.
That's what time she fell asleep?
In and out. She was in and out, going to sleep.
Okay. And then what time did Rosie get back to the room today?
Like 5, something.
Now, how did she get into the room?
I let her.
Hmm?
I let her.
Is that right? Okay. Now when she's in the room, where's Trinity at?
In the bed.
She's still in the bed? Okay. And then at what point did she pick her up? Or, I mean, kind of, like I said, I'm trying to
Basically,
figure out the
just trying
timeline.
to
Right?
check on her. She tried to check, like she was just checking on her, like we was talking about it. I had told her like normally
Mm-hmm.
if Trinity does something and then I'll basically like I was like I pinched her and then she was like
That was
okay
today?
today, so she's like you gotta be careful. She bruises.
So where you didn't mention the part of pinching, so where did you pinch her at?
But that was today, so I did that on her cheek though.
On her cheek? Which side?
Left.
Left side?
The pinch
They brought up the text messages Kennedy had sent Rosie over the course of their relationship, where he is clearly annoyed and venting to her about the baby's frustrating behavior.
You got pretty agitated today, huh? 'Cause I guess I saw the text message. I saw the text messages that you sent.
Mhm.
I mean, is it just today that she was just
It's not
terrible twos kind of just
No.
kicked in? Like,
It's every day. It's,
Yeah.
it's
maybe
every day.
you just tired
Since
of
I
it.
met her.
Yeah.
Since I met.
They then moved on to discussing other injuries on Trinity's head, which Kennedy admitted was because her head hit the headboard when he put her back in bed. The incident took place right after her mother left the hotel room and headed to work. Sadly, the injuries on her face weren't the only ones inflicted on her fragile body. There were many others that the young man admitted were from past beatings.
So there's some other markings to the baby's face.
Yeah, she hit her head earlier today, and that was also my fault because my mom seen it when she walked out, and I had put her on the bed. Her head hit the headboard.
You're mumbling. Can you?
Her head hit the headboard,
Okay.
basically.
So when did that happen?
That was right before she left, right before she left.
Who left?
Rose.
Okay. And then where are the other markings on her face?
From either past or past, really.
What?
From the past, really. Basically, no, I'm not. This is not my first time. Like I'd be like pinch her or something.
Mhm.
So, but that would be my way of she'll tell me like you gotta find a way to work it out or whatever it is, and I just I'm trying to figure out how to handle it or whatever. And that's the way I end up going about it. Just pinch her.
How hard did you pinch her?
Depends.
When you pinched her today, did she cry?
She always cry.
Huh?
She always cry.
She already cries?
While corporal punishment is legal in all 50 states even on a child as young as Trinity was, it crosses the line into child abuse. When according to the laws of Georgia it leads to physical injury or death inflicted upon a child by a parent or other person responsible for the care of the child by other than accidental means. It's clear that Kennedy was throughout the investigation doing his best to downplay the extent of the severe abuse and beatings. He subjected the little girl to almost daily alongside the head injury. The baby had multiple cuts on her lips, which Kennedy explained. As the toddler biting her lips, the officers were understandably skeptical. Kennedy did his best to frame all her injuries as accidental, but no matter how hard he insisted, it's obvious that there's more to the story than he was willing to share. The officers already had a vague idea of what had happened. All they needed was for Kennedy to confess and cooperate to make this case clearer upon investigating.
When we talked to Rosie, she never told me about hitting the head on the headboard.
She probably didn't even think about it, to even tell you, or I don't know.
She had the right state of mind to tell us that you pinched her.
I'm not saying she had the right state of mind, but I'm saying she definitely probably not thinking about that, to add that, so.
Something like that, kid hitting the head on the headboard, that'd be pretty tragic. So
Yeah.
So, was she in the room when it happened?
She was leaving.
Okay, so she's probably out of the room then, huh?
Yeah.
So what else happened in that room today?
That was it. Nah, pretty much just, we went through that whole stage of going through that, me and Trinity, we have our own thing, we just bump heads.
Did you just get fed up today?
I can't lie, I was angry. That's the,
Trying to play your video game. Screaming on top of her lungs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did the neighbors knock on the door?
No.
Room service come to the door?
No.
Did the hotel staff come to the door, say, hey, what the hell's going on here?
No. They just, anything can agitate me. Anything.
But more or less today, you were really agitated because the kid was crying.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay.
I'd say, yeah.
So how did Trinity get the bump on the head? Really?
Headboard.
Okay. And what about was it a cut on the lip?
Yeah, there's multiple.
No, she battled it.
No,
Well,
that wasn't a bite mark.
But regardless of, you're gonna tell me something, but I'm just gonna go in my side. So she bumped her head.
What about the lip though?
And in the lip, she bumped.
Did,
Yeah.
Did that happen today?
It happened today.
Okay. Now how did it happen?
Probably when I made her head on the headboard.
You made her head on the headboard?
Not like I did it. I just did it, and that's the problem. And that's what's even making me go to it's the fact that when I did that and everything, it wasn't intentional. It's not on purpose.
Listen,
It's not.
and we're not saying you did it on purpose, okay? So
Yeah.
we're just trying to get your side of the story, man. Okay. So how did you make her hit her head on the headboard? Walk me through it.
I was I don't know, I had just really put her in the bed, I don't know, and then she had it, I don't know, I guess it was the way I did it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did it, it was weird, however I did it, and it hit the headboard. My mom asked, she was she said something to me. She was like, she said something. I don't remember what she said, but I remember her saying she got on me about it, and I was like, because we just had argument or whatever.
So did you pick the kid up and throw the kid against the headboard?
No, it was more like.
Like I said, you're not describing, like, you're not doing a very good job explaining it, so.
Not pretty good at all, really, when it comes to things.
Okay, take a deep breath, relax. Just, how did you do it?
Crime scene. They found bloody towels in the bathroom trash can. This is the point at which Kennedy finally realized that his lies had caught up with him.
So why are there bloody towels in the trash can? Tell me about
From
that.
her lip.
Hmm?
From her lip. Her lip was bleeding.
And how did her lip start bleeding?
From her, I assume. Most part, I assume it was from her.
Making sense during the interrogation, and his explanations were terrible. One of the officers brought in a baby doll to get a clearer idea of how the child was harmed, but Kennedy refused to cooperate in any way or show what.
Show me how you grabbed her, like how you tossed her against the headboard.
Like,
This is the headboard. How far away were you?
pretty close, like this. He's like.
Okay, so show me how you grabbed her. Just pretend that this is the size.
I really don't know.
Okay, well, how would you know?
I just know, like, however I did it, I ended up, like, I don't know, like, put her on the bed, like, I don't know, like, throw her on the bed, and then, like, she hit her head on her headboard. Her mom, like, literally said something to me about it, and I was like, okay, like.
Listen, Malik, we know Rosie wasn't in the room at that time, okay? That's something that she would have told
She knows she left, even if she didn't tell you guys.
Okay.
This is why I don't even want to talk,
That's
like,
okay. Well,
because, like,
we need to figure
I
out
feel
what
like,
happened.
yeah, I'm trying, but you saying she didn't tell you that part. Ever different. It's always the same. It's either, like I say, from the crime, from the work schedule, from
It's a lot.
even what I do. Like, I'm not even just saying from, like, dealing with her. Even from what I do, like, the whole process. Like, if I punish her, and that could be any way. That's taking away your tablet, your juice, the sweets, make you go stand in a corner. Even if I pinch her cheek, and I'm not doing this to be like that, you know, as my mom told me, you know, and I tell her I don't do that to, you know, like, be like that. It's her, you know, and I gotta learn to, because I'm new and it's all new, so I'm just like.
As Kennedy tries to express why he became upset in the hotel,
He actually did to cause Trinity's death aside from confessing to the melatonin. He continued to refuse explaining his actions toward the toddler. The interrogation had hit a brick wall. Kennedy never confessed to his crime, but the truth eventually came out about what he had done to the baby. An autopsy determined the child suffered an injury to the back of her head. She had several bruises on the cheeks with finger and fingernail impressions, a swollen eye, swollen forehead, and bruises on the body. This prompted the county coroner to rule Trinity's death as a homicide. The day of Trinity's death, Kennedy was trying to play video games while the baby was repeatedly screaming and not quieting down, frustrated into an uncontrollable rage. Kennedy slammed the toddler's head repeatedly against the headboard of the hotel's bed until she became unconscious. When she woke up 2 hours later, his rage still hadn't gone away. He violently shook her until she passed out again. This action can cause shaken baby syndrome, and in cases like this, it is lethal. It may only take 1 or 2 hard shakes to seriously injure a small child. This is because babies and toddlers have relatively big, heavy heads and weak neck muscles. When a toddler is shaken, the brain bounces back and forth against the skull. This can cause bruising of the brain, swelling, pressure, and bleeding in the brain. Some babies may even stop breathing, which can cause further brain damage. If the baby survives, it can cause blindness and other permanent disabilities. Abusive head trauma is the #1 cause of child abuse deaths in kids under the age of 5 in the United States. In Trinity's case, she immediately went into a seizure after being shaken so violently. Instead of panicking, Kennedy simply watched her suffer and wiped the blood off of her mouth with the towels, which were later found as evidence. The girl was lying in the room. Officials say Kennedy never tried to call her mother or seek any emergency medical aid. Instead, officials say he drank alcohol, smoked, played video games, and went on social media during the interrogation. It seems that Kennedy tried to excuse away his actions, but Kennedy finally faced justice for this awful crime. He was convicted of malice murder. 2 counts of felony murder, aggravated battery and first-degree cruelty to children for the death of 2-year-old Trinity Kyles DeThor. Verdict occurred on the 3-year anniversary of the incident, and Trinity would have turned 5 that April after the jury returned with their guilty verdict. A judge sentenced Kennedy to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The county's district attorney Patty Austin Gaston said they continue to grieve with the family for this loss and hope the verdict can bring some closure. We continue to grieve with Trinity's family for this senseless loss, although this verdict and sentencing cannot replace this little girl's future or quell her family's pain. Our hope is that it brings them justice and provides them with some solace.